Hey, what's up, Film Debris fans? This is Temple. Why don't you do me a favor and click on this little subscribe button, and then we'll get the show on the way. Alright, today's topic is heist movies. First movie I'm going to talk about is The Usual Suspects. Came out in 1995, directed by Bryan Singer. He directed X-Men, X-Men 2, Valkyrie, Superman Returns. I think he's going to be doing some more X-Men in the future.
Nothing is what it seems.
The greatest trick the devil ever pulled
He's here.
was convincing the world
I know he's here.
he didn't exist.
You've got to look beyond the usual suspects.
I'm smarter than you. And I'm going to find out what I want to know, whether you like it or not.
Usual Suspects, these guys, they're a group of bad guys. They're brought together in a interrogation type setting, just like on this picture. And they kind of decide they want to kind of work together, but they don't realize that they are working against someone who's a much higher power than they are, and they might regret it, or someone's going to regret it, and a couple of them do regret it, and then maybe some of them actually don't live long enough to regret it. But it's a very interesting movie. The first time I watched it, I was like, I'm not sure what's going on, and actually, first time I watched it, I just thought it was kind of a straight through, just a narrative story. By the end of the movie, I was like, wow, I think I gotta watch that again, and I just started watching it again. And if you haven't seen The Usual Suspects, I definitely recommend that you watch it. Usual Suspects, 1995. Check it out.
My number 3 pick for movie heists, The Town. Can't go wrong with The Town. Directed and starring Ben Affleck. I think this was his first movie that he directed, starring Jeremy Renner, John Hamm, Rebecca Hall. It's about these two brothers. They're going and they start to rob banks, and Ben Affleck gets involved with one of the bank managers that he's robbing from, yet she has no clue that he's a bank robber and she's a bank manager, and it's like he's living two lives and she has no clue about it. Anyways, they're going through, if they have some great ideas if you ever want to rob a bank. You should take some ideas from here. No, I'm just kidding. But they dress up like as paramedics, and you get to see a lot of Boston in this movie. It's like a Boston-based movie. You see Fenway Park. They got the Boston accents. I'm not even going to try to do it because I can't. I'm not from Boston. But it's a really good movie. Great heists. Just all around good stuff from Ben Affleck. Check it out. The Town.
So my first pick would have to be Ocean's 11. Ocean's 11 came out in 2001, and it was basically about these 11 robbers or thieves who are going to rob a casino.
Say we get into the cage and through the security doors there and down the elevator we can't move and past the guards with the guns and into the vault we can't open. We're just supposed to walk out of there with $150 million in cash on us without getting stopped?
Yeah.
Oh.
Steven Soderbergh, he actually did a lot of different movies. I don't know if you've seen Contagion. He did that too, so it was a pretty good movie. I don't want to mention it, but I will. Magic Mike. He directed that too. Where he went wrong? Maybe he's just a director who likes to try new things. So more hats off to you, man. But I like this movie because of the way they pulled off the heist. The way they pulled off the heist, when you're watching the movie, you're just like, dang, that's how they did it. It was real cool. So it's not too long of a movie. It's like an average movie, but the movie keeps you entertained the whole time. So you don't get bored halfway through or you're tempted to turn it off or anything like that. Plus, I mean, George Clooney, he's really acting, and Julia Roberts, they all really play their parts. So check that out. 2001, Ocean 11.
All right, the next movie I'm going to talk about is Heat. 1995, Michael Mann's Heat. Of course, someone's got to mention this one for best movie heists. It had the great godly joining of Robert De Niro and Al Pacino. We also had this righteous kill. Also had the joining of those two same actors, but this one was even better. Just the it's an all-star cast. Val Kilmer. I want to say Tom Sizemore. Ashley Judd, some other people. But there's only two scenes I think where they actually share the screen together, and just them talking. I think there's even I remember Ari Spears, I think, does an impression of that scene when they're together. There's scenes where they're in the street in, I think, downtown LA, where they're just shooting up everything, and Val Kilmer, I love the way he's holding the gun in the street and just shooting, and the way he knows how to move everything. And you got Sizemore running around, always being the backup guy. So I think Danny Trejo's in that. Then you have the guy who is trying to betray them or something, and then he kills them on the couch on the thing in the hotel. How can you go wrong with Al Pacino and Robert De Niro? Heat, 1995, Michael Mann, very good. There are some other his movies. Collateral is very good too. Go watch that. Go watch this heist movie, Heat.
And my number 2 pick for movie Heist, Inside Man, starring Denzel Washington, Clive Owen, and Jodie Foster. Directed by Spike Lee. I didn't even know Spike Lee directed it at the time when I went to go see it. But nonetheless, it was a really good movie. One of the top bank heists, I think. Just because the way that they do this, and it's kind of like a different style of bank heist that you get from this movie. Denzel Washington is negotiating with the bank heist, who's Clive Owen, and they get into a little thing going on, and it just has this weird way of telling the story, and then you get all these people get interviewed by Denzel Washington because they get some of the hostages or whatnot, and they're going through and they're interviewing them, and they all have stories that are unlinkable to who the bank robbers are.
You might know. Recently I planned and set in motion events to execute the perfect bank robbery. It's exceedingly simple. Because I can. Which leaves us only with the how.
Anyways, check it out. Directed by Spike Lee. Denzel Washington's in it. Clive Owen. Jodie Foster. Inside Man. Bam!
And my second pick would be the 2009's Public Enemy. That was directed by Michael Mann, and it has Johnny Depp, Christian Bale, and Marion Cotillard. She's a great actress, actually. I mean, I loved her in Inception. So, in this movie, she's still kind of the same character, except she's alive. That's a big difference. But this whole movie is basically about John Dillinger and his rise in the crime family, or the crime time of that era. And what can I say? This man wanted the world, and he wanted it right now. Famous quote from the movie, And so seeing how this crime wave usually took place in the 1930s, they always have like all these cool names like John Dillinger, Pretty Boy Floyd. It reminds me of Dick Tracy. All the names is what catches me. But the key that they kept mentioning in this movie is the fact that John Dillinger, even though he was a gangster, he was still compassionate about the people. So when they robbed a bank and one of his henchmen were like pickpocketing some of the guests or the citizens that were there, doing bank transactions, he would stop them. He would say, "We're taking the bank's money, not the people's money." So even though he was like a crime lord, you kind of have to respect him in that sense. He was actually a celebrity. He became a celebrity, and people liked him even though he was robbing banks. So it's crazy to see that in a movie like this, a gangster can still be the most loved. So my second pick would be Public Enemies.
All right, and my number 1 heist movie is Dog Day Afternoon. It's definitely my favorite. Definitely my favorite heist movie. Al Pacino. He's going with his friend. They go to rob the bank, and I think it's one of the first movies that kind of showed how media kind of got into these big events happening. Like car chases and bank robberies and shootouts in the street and stuff like that. This was showing how media kind of infiltrated that area, and I think it was before even some laws where they had where helicopters couldn't go a certain distance from the crime scene or whatever. So the way he was able to kind of connect with the crowd that was gathering around, the barriers that the police were making, he started to kind of get them on his side, and it just became this big circus show on the news. It has the famous scenes where he's yelling, "Attica, Attica, Attica," and the voice he has back then. I think the Simpsons, Moe from The Simpsons, his voice is kind of based on this. The the voice that Hank Azaria does is based on this Al Pacino. I'm dying here. The kind of voice. I don't do a very good. I'm not a voice actor. But Dog Day Afternoon. You should watch this. Sit down and watch this. Very good. 1975. Al Pacino, John Cazale. Directed by Sidney Lumet. Dog Day Afternoon. My number one pick.
And my number one pick for movie heists, Inception. All-star cast. We got The Great Gatsby. We got Robin, Alfred, Bane, Juno. This movie's just crazy. It's a heist within a heist within a heist. If you haven't seen the movie, you'll get it later. Anyways, it's about Leo. He's a dream extractor, and he's going in and trying to steal these ideas from people. And it's just a crazy way of putting this movie together. It's directed by Christopher Nolan, the great director. You should definitely check it out. But anyways, there's just so many ways they go with this movie, and you have to at least watch it 2-3 times to catch it all, because after the first time, it's not going to be enough. But anyways, you should really check this out. Inception with the all-star cast, Christopher Nolan. Check it out. Inception.
And my number one heist pick would have to be the cult classic Reservoir Dogs. Reservoir Dogs, I mean, what can you say about this movie that people won't know already? I mean, it came out in 92, and this was long before I was really getting into looking deeper than just the movie and really understanding and analyzing it. But when I watched it later on in my life, I saw all the reasons why it was a great movie. I mean, Tarantino did a great job directing this. And first of all, it only takes place in primarily one location, one big location, which is the warehouse. And for that to only be in that one location and still be an interesting movie is impressive. I mean, that is good job directing from Tarantino. And the names, so there's like 6 guys, and they all have code names. You know, their code names happen to be colors: Mr. Pink, Mr. Brown, Mr. White. And I remember a good part in this movie that you guys probably know too is when they're all arguing over their names. And 2 of the guys try to switch names. So like, well, here, you can have mine. He said, no, we can't switch names. And if everyone chose their own names, we'd all be Mr. Black or Mr. White. So I thought that was a good movie because it showed order, you know. But ultimately, the story of this movie is it's supposed to be like a diamond heist, and somehow it goes wrong. They're leaving out. It's supposed to be a quick job, in and out. But within a minute or so, they're swarmed by cops. Someone is a rat, and they spend the rest of the movie trying to figure out who the informant is. Who's the rat? Who's the person who snitched or whatever? Someone gets shot, not going to say who. Someone gets tortured, not going to say who. But this was just a great movie in all the different directions. One, from the directing, the storytelling, how it was written, the pacing of the movie. It's just had to be number one heist movie. 92's Reservoir Dogs.
Alright, did you subscribe yet? This is Film Debris. You should just subscribe. We have all kinds of videos going on all the time. Our top 3 to see every week. This week we did Heist, but next week we might do, I don't know what we might do then. We might do, what are we doing? Apocalypse movies. Oh. Ooh, it's the end of the world. It'll be the end of your world if you don't subscribe. Dog Day Afternoon, that's my number one pick. I already said that. But come on. Comment and subscribe. Let us know what you think. There's something we missed. I know there's something we missed because we only get to talk about 3 each. So there's a lot of good movies out there. So let us know. Comment, like, subscribe. Go to Facebook. Go to Twitter. @FilmDebris. Go to YouTube. You're already here, hopefully. Come on. Heist movies. Oh, what?
Real quick, I just want to mention some stuff. I mean, my top pick was Reservoir Dogs. Look at this. I don't know if you can see that. This is a gas can, right? So that's the casing of the movie, this gas can. And then when you take it out, the actual DVDs comes into a match. It's like a matchbook. That's pretty chilled, right? On the back, it's not that you can read it, so I read it to you. It says, "Home of the Big Kahuna Burger." Now, we've all heard that before. I'll give you one of them. There's 2 different movies that this Big Kahuna Burger is mentioned. Obviously, the one would be in Tarantino's second movie, Pulp Fiction. right? Where Jules, he mentions Big Kahuna Burger. So, leave a comment. Let us know if you know what the second movie is that was mentioned with the Big Kahuna Burger. It was another Tarantino flick. He kind of keeps it in the Tarantino universe. And there's a lot of different movies that mention each other. So, just leave a comment. Let us know if you know what that second movie is that mentions the Big Kahuna Burger.